Kurt Giles off for hooking, 13:59 in the second period. Bob Basson had what looked like an entire net when he came dancing out in front. Nobody was there to meet him. The puck went down. Casey did move it out past Basson. What a save by Casey. Off his stick, up in the air. Even then, where is it bouncing? Wow, that looked like it was bouncing right on the line. Well, Terry Gregson, you can see at the top left of your screen, had a way better look at it than we did. And he never called it in.
St. Louis goes on the power play for the 5th time. They are 1 for the prior 4, and they work it to Jeff Brown. Dumps it off the boards. Chambers checked off by Adam Oates. Hall helps it back to Paul Cavallini. Off of Broughton. Chambers works it ahead, and it's brought on by Gavin. He's got Broughton along with him. Here's Stu Gavin for Broughton. A shot right into Riendo, and he'll hold on. Sort of a half-speed windup there, and then he cranked it the best that he could, but Riendo held for a stoppage of play.
Only the second shot for the North Stars, and it hit Vincent Riendo right in the chest. His confidence has to be rebuilding. It took a long time to tear it down in the playoffs, but it looked like it was rock bottom after Game 4. The North Stars continue to try to force the puck into areas where there just isn't anybody open. I mean, coming out of their zone, the Blues have done an excellent job of coverage, and the North Stars have continued to try to jam the puck into areas where there really isn't anybody open. You're going to have to be a little more patient, bring it up the ice a little slower instead of rushing it and jamming it into areas where there simply isn't room. The Blues right now in complete control of their game and this game.
We've talked so much about how well the Blues play with the lead, and that's why this next goal has to be the biggest one of all, if another one is scored on the night. 2-0 St. Louis leading here. If you're just joining us, 5:35 to go in the second period. 90 seconds still to go on the St. Louis power play. They've outshot the North Stars in the period 14-2 and 17-12 in the game. Paul Cavallini ahead, spins one off the boards. Around it came for Brindamore. Had trouble controlling, though, as right on him Chambers. To the back, good keep by Brown with the shins. Brown yanks it on his backhand, behind his back to Hall, then back over for Brown once more. Paul Cavallini looks for Hall, gives to Brown. Paul Cavallini again to Hall. Pad stop made by Casey on Hall's drive. Paul Cavallini once more. Brindamore at the front, he deals to him. Little pass across, cut off by Bureau and spun back down as Brindamore was hoping to find Oates.
That play is open for the Blues. It's a 2-on-1 in front. Brindamore is there, and most of the time it's Adam Oates, but the 3 guys at the top aren't seeing it, and they aren't getting the puck into them.
Puck kicked along and pointed back to Paul Cavallini. Moves in. Big blast. Pad stop Casey. Rebound picked up by Broughton. Can't clear it out. Chambers, second effort, able to shovel it back out. 25 seconds still for the North Stars to kill. Jeff Brown drifts even further back on the checking of Broughton. 15 seconds to go on the power play to St. Louis. Oates couldn't get it through Gavin, so it's walked on by Stevens, but plenty of North Stars there. Broughton on for Stu Gavin, who accelerates. Stevens able to catch up to him. Gavin goes down. Brushed one in on goal. The puck popped up in the air and is taken by Stevens. There'll be a St. Louis penalty coming up. So the work of Stu Gavin brought about a St. Louis penalty. They still had 2 seconds left on their power play. But the tables will shift to a North Stars power play with 4:03 to go here in the second period.
A noticeable difference in how the North Stars kill penalties when they're trailing. Here's Stu Gavin trying to get an offensive play going, and he got a pretty good sweep shot flat on his face on goal. Neil Broughton was following up on the play. Dan Quinn held him. That's what Terry Gregson saw. It's a hold with 15:50 at 15:57 of the period. A little earlier on the power play, the big shot by Brett Hull. Excellent pad save by John Casey. But Bob Gainey has said about his penalty killing team, first thing, we kill penalties. You're not going to see us trying to score goals. Well, boy, they've tried to set up 3-on-2 rushes. Chambers moved up on the play a couple of minutes ago. That time Gavin tried to go wide, and Neil Broughton drove for the net. So you've got to change that penalty killing attitude just a little bit when you're trailing 2-0.
Chambers at the bench getting a little direction from Bob Gainey as to how they're going to play this. Chambers and Bellows, as well as Wilkinson, Gagne, and Prop. Butcher and Stevens, the defense for the Blues. Ron Wilson and Dave Lowry will be the penalty killing forwards. If you're just joining us, 2-0 St. Louis. Brind'Amour early in the first. Paul Cavallini on the power play midway in the second for the Blues. The North Stars shotless in this period until the 12:25 mark. Have 4 shots in the period. The Blues have 16. Gagner on the tie-up. It's helped back by Propp to Chambers. Deals it for Propp, but it went by him. Now the 2 seconds have transpired and the power play officially begins. Brian Bellows is out as you watch Wilkinson play. He's the guy who came in place of Giles, who just come from the penalty box. And it's Bellows who carries it on. Watched by Butcher. The feed, and Propp thought it wasn't for him. Let it go. Chambers. Then for Gagner out in front. Bellows to play it to the back to Wilkinson. Wilkinson fires, and that deflected right on goal and saved by Riendeau and cleared back out. A good shot by Wilkinson. They got the tip they wanted, but Riendeau got it too. Wilkinson drives it back in. Riendeau to stop that one. Then for Scott Stevens. Lays it along, but past Rich Sutter. Kept alive by Wilkinson and spun on to Brian Propp. 1:10 to go power play. Propp to Bellows, and then Propp moves to the slot. To the back it comes to Wilkinson. Shovels one, and that one blocked aside as Propp went down in front of the goal. Basson tries to get by and can't. Stevens shovels, can't do it. Chambers moving with it. His shot snuffed out by Rich Sutter, and then Sutter went down. The fans upset. Chambers to the back now to Wilkinson. Flipped one that came back to him, and he has to play in neutral ice. 44 seconds to go in the power play and 2:45 to go in the second period. St. Louis leading 2-0. Moving in is Bellows for Propp. Dumped the shot off Stevens. Bellows able to take it though. Was slashed at and really is hurting in the leg. Puck turned along now by Stevens. Too far for Sutter, and Bellows is going to have to come to the bench. Mike Craig takes his place as you watch Gagner play it. Flipped one blindly that Broughton couldn't get. Wilson could. Ron Wilson moving back in deep. Down to the last 15 seconds of the power play, and Wilson is able to get a stoppage of play, though the faceoff will be at center ice.
Well, Ron Wilson's done a good job tonight in every aspect of the game, especially when he's been out there killing penalties for the Blues. Brian Bellows took a swat behind the net, and he's still in a lot of pain. He had tried to pass out to Brian Propp, and the puck came right back to him. Oh, yeah, Garth Butcher let him have it. That looked like it hit him below the pants and perhaps above the shin pad and the knee pad. I mean, the pants are really well padded along the side. I can't imagine that hitting him in the pants. Must have hit him just below the pants.
Smith and Brind'Amour for the face-off. Still 13 power play seconds for Minnesota. The Blues finished very quietly at the end of the first period. The last 7 shots were the North Stars, but things completely turned here in the second. Finally, St. Louis scored a second goal on the power play. They've outgunned the North Stars 16-5 in this period. Modano flips one over to Tenorti. Tenorti tried to pick his way through, couldn't do it. Brind'Amour starts back up for the Blues. He's got Tuttle along with him in a 2-on-2. Penalty time is up. Brind'Amour looks for Quinn. Fed one in front. Quinn scores!
That never seemed to be able to make it to the ice surface. The help for Hull and Oates has arrived for the Blues. Rod Brind'Amour with his best effort and best hockey game of the playoffs this year so far. A super effort to stay alive with the puck along the boards, and he followed it up with a beautiful pass to Dan Quinn. The Blues lead 3-0. That's a pretty good hit by Giles, but Brind'Amour spun off him, came back, found Dan Quinn cruising wide and alone. The North Stars again, no coverage on Dan Quinn. A couple of them watching the play. You can see them both. Mike Craig was one. Mark Tenorti was the other. And I think Tenorti assumed that Craig had Quinn. Nobody had Quinn. 3-0 St. Louis.
Quinn, his 4th from Brind'Amour and Tuttle at 18:04. And we welcome those of you who have been watching Sports Channel Philadelphia tonight. Here at the arena in St. Louis, the St. Louis Blues have the lead over the North Stars by a count of 3-0 with 1:40 to go, still in the second period. Brind'Amour, Paul Cavallini, and Dan Quinn are the goal scorers in the game. Gino Cavallini in, wrapped up by Chambers. Coming by is Shane Churla. Puck centered by Oates, regathered by Stevens across to Brown. flips one that just skipped harmlessly wide. Casey way out of his goal to get it. Hands on to Bureau. Tumbling near the front of the net was Brett Hull as you watch the play ahead by Mark Bureau trying to get it on for Churla. Drilled back off. The North Stars have to recover with Dahlquist going after it in the final minute 10 of this period. Dahlquist dumps it back off. Brushed loose by Brown. An onside play to the corner. Tenorti given a good hit from behind by Kimball. Down to the ice went another Blue, and this time caught on the play was Dahlquist. He's the one who'll be penalized, and the Blues will go on the power play again. Basil McRae says, okay, let's go. He and Darren Kimball, but the linesmen come rushing in between. Kimball paws a bit at Churla.
What an interesting move by Kimball. When he dropped his stick, he didn't really drop it. He set it right down in front of McRae, I think, so that McRae would step on it and trip on it. McRae just gingerly stepped to the side, then set his stick down and said, okay, let's go. The linesmen, as they have done so often in this series and many other series this year, have stepped in between, were able to separate Kimball and McRae before they got going. But there was an original penalty to Chris Dahlquist. I'm not sure if Terry Gregson was going to even it up. I don't think so. Dahlquist sits alone. Even that shove by Kimball after the set to with McRae. There it is. Adam Oates was standing at the side of the net, but you saw Oates stick his foot out and trip Dahlquist. At that point, you couldn't see Gregson. He was standing with the net screening him from the whole situation. So all he saw was Dahlquist.
Dahlquist gets a trip at 1903. McRae and Kimball get unsportsmanlike conduct penalties at the same time. So John Casey, who has seen 20 shots in the game and 17 in this period, a lot of rubber and a lot of close-in plays. Bang, bang play across to Dan Quinn, and then a blast by Paul Cavallini were the two goals he yielded in this period. Rod Brind'Amour scoring in the first. It is the surprise starter at the other end who has worked the goose egg up on the Minnesota side of the board. Riendo with a couple of sparkling saves in this second period. By and large, though, his team has played strongly in front of him.
To me, there's something to be admired when a coach goes against the grain, as Brian Sutter did. Started Riendo, and boy, right now he's looking good, isn't he? 3-0. We're less than a minute to go in the second period.
Paul Cavallini's blast was the first one on this power play that Casey handled to the last 40 seconds of the second period. Paul Cavallini moves it ahead, deals it for Tuttle. Thought he had a winger to pass to, but Brind'Amour had been held back by Duchesne. So Riendo will control again, just tapping it over for Brown. Mark Bureau drifts by. Riendo watches the play, head back away from him as on with it comes Dan Quinn. He's got Brind'Amour streaking up the wing, and this one is checked away by Duchesne. Stepped into by Tuttle. Tenorti flips one that's shouldered down by Paul Cavallini. Diving play ahead and a good one. Puck came right near Casey, and Casey just spins it off the boards. Brind'Amour staggers over to it. Punched one along for Quinn, who centered for Tuttle, but it went off of him. And the horn sounds to end the second period, and then a hip check on Tenorti after the horn had sounded, and the linesmen again move in quickly. Paul Cavallini his second from Tuttle and Quinn on the power play at 10:43. Quinn is fourth from Brind'Amour and Tuttle at 18:04. So we've played 40 minutes of action here, and the hometown fans are standing 3-0. Their team leads after 2. Let's pause for this regional break. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel.
This is a KBL News Break brought to you by KDKA TV2's Eyewitness News.
Good evening. I'm Stacy Smith. They were apparently talking 2 different languages at the Giant Eagle talks today. Both sides met at the bargaining table, but talks broke off after 4 hours. No new talks are scheduled. A federal appeals court has ordered the Drug Enforcement Administration to restudy its opposition to the therapeutic use of marijuana. The court ruled the drug agency may be using inappropriate criteria in determining that marijuana has no legitimate medical use. Movie star Arnold Schwarzenegger sat down with Governor Casey this morning to discuss the physical fitness of Pennsylvania's youth. Schwarzenegger is chairman of the President's Council on Physical Fitness and is conducting a 50-state tour. Now, some weather news. Fair and mild tonight with a low of 52. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and a high of 78. This has been a KBL News Break, sponsored by KDKA-TV Eyewitness News. More at 11 on Eyewitness News Tonight.
You're pushing 2 tons of steel at 200 plus with just a coat of paint between you and the leader. What's going through your mind?
Stock car fans can now go inside the sport like never before with NASCAR Video Magazine from Time Life Video. Each video helps you gain greater insights into everything from racing strategies to the latest hardware.
Starting with the Daytona experience, yours for just $9.99. It's a behind-the-scenes look at the Super Bowl of racing with Darrell Waltrip, Richard Petty, and Jeff Bodine. Plus how dyno technology is pushing engine performance and a lot more.
Here's how to get started.
Call to get the Daytona experience for $9.99 plus shipping and handling. Use your credit card and we'll send you a free gift. This NASCAR Daytona 500 board game. Other videos like Top 10 Drivers, Fathers, Sons, and Brothers, and Evolution of the Race Car will arrive about every other month at $16.99. There's no commitment. Cancel at any time. The NASCAR Video Magazine from Time Life Video.
Mazda Motors drives you around the NHL. Brought to you by Mazda, a line of vehicles as distinctive and unique as the people who drive them. Mazda, it just feels right.
Bob Papa back in our New York studios. The Blues trying to stay alive. They lead Minnesota by a 3-0 score at the end of 2. Well, over the past 10 years, Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier have been 2 of the most consistent scorers in hockey. But in this series between these 2 teams, it's been a little bit of a different story. We take a look at the numbers so far in the playoffs. You see during the season, Wayne Gretzky 163 points, but in this series against Edmonton, only 4 assists in 4 games for 4 points. Mark Messier, although injured during the year, still managed 51 assists, 63 points. In this series against Los Angeles, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points. Anatoly Semenov of Edmonton has 2 goals and 3 assists. He's been very important for the Edmonton Oilers. Luc Robitaille for the Kings has 4 goals in this series. And don't forget, after the Blues and North Stars, we will take you right to the Great Western Forum for the Kings and Oilers. Shifting gears with the World Championships in Finland, John Van Beesbroek was beaten by Marcus Berwanger of Germany in the 3rd period as Team USA and Germany skated to a 4-all tie. The United States is 2 up, 2 down with 2 ties as they head into Sunday's game with Finland. Team USA can still make the medal round. Team Canada skated to a 3-3 tie with Sweden. Canada, Sweden, and the Soviet Union have clinched medal rounds in this series. The Soviets are 6-0, and the Czechs they beat the Czech team by a 6-2 score. More of the 1991 Stanley Cup playoffs after these timeout.
This is where it happened. The breakthrough in urethane chemistry that created a car polish so technologically advanced, one application lasts an entire year. Introducing Finish 2001, the car polish you use only once every 12 months. This old car's been badly neglected. Its finish appears destroyed. With no rubbing, no buffing, Finish 2001 with its urethane formula safely brings back the showroom shine, a rich, deep gloss shine that lasts an entire year. We tested Finish 2001 against other leading polishes, even some that claim to protect your car against fire or against acid. And the test results? Nothing, but nothing protects or shines better than Finish 2001, the 12-month car polish with a 100% money-back guarantee.
Finish 2001 is available at these fine stores.
In 1918, a small team of GE engineers set a new high-altitude record for an aircraft engine. What made it unusual was that they did it without an airplane. Back then, no plane could fly high enough to test the new turbo-supercharged engine. So they did the next best thing. They hauled it 14,000 feet up Pikes Peak. After several fits and starts, this remarkable new engine roared to life. And it is the same ingenuity and team spirit that has brought GE from America's first jet engine to the world's most advanced.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you look out the left side of the cabin, you'll see Pikes Peak.
Which proves when people work together, there's no telling to what heights they can soar.
So what's Little Dandruff?
Okay, imagine you're at the social event of the year, and your dream girl says hello, just as you do this. Her first impression? What a hunk, and only a few flakes.
Give me a break.
The breaks are, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
So?
So regular shampoos won't fix your problem. Try this.
Head and Shoulders? But you don't have dandruff.
Bingo.
Head and Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Welcome back to our New York studios on what could be elimination night in the Campbell Conference. The Boston Bruins are one win away from winning their third series in 4 years against the Montreal Canadiens. Jiggs McDonald and John Davidson look back at the Bruins' impressive Game 5 win.
Probably it was just a matter of time. Certainly the Boston Bruin fans were anxious to see Bruins hockey, and that's exactly what we saw in Game 6 at the Boston Garden.
Jiggs, they decided to take their white collars off and put the blue ones on. This is a team that showed up very early in the first period with some grinding and some hitting, led by Chris Nyland. And once they established that identity, they allowed themselves to get the goal scoring going, led by their best players.
Cam Neely had 3 and 4 Bruin goals set up by Craig Janney, the first right here.
This is Neely's 9th of the playoffs. When Janney gets that amount of time to make a play, he'll be accurate with his pass. There it is. With the screen in front from Chris Nyland, Neely scored the first goal of the game.
Montreal had come back to tie the game 1-1 at the end of the first period. What turned out to be the game-winning goal came from Ruzicka, Vladimir, Rosie, if you will, last minute of play in the second period.
Just another beautiful pass from Craig Janney, leading Ruzicka, his first ever playoff goal in the National Hockey League, and it proved to be the winner.
Then in the third period, Cam Neely would score twice, making him the National Hockey League's leading goal scorer in the playoffs.
Jiggs, this is the first one of the last 2. That one on the power play from you-know-who, Craig Janney. Once again, he had a great night. That was his 3rd assist. This is his 4th assist as Neely finds another open spot high in the slot. He doesn't take long to release the shot. That was his 2nd hat trick of this year's playoffs.
So Craig Janney is the hero of the game, setting up all 4 goals. Boston returns to Montreal, leading the series 3-2 with a chance to eliminate the Canadiens on Saturday night.
All right, thank you very much, Jiggs and J.D. The game ended with some chippy play as the Canadiens tried to rough up Craig Janney. Well, they're getting set for period number 3 in St. Louis, and they're also getting ready for period number 1 at the Great Western Forum. We'll keep you posted on the Kings and Oilers. We'll send you there at the conclusion of the Blues and North Stars. All that and much, much more after this time out on Sports Channel America.
We went to the fight capital of the world and asked the fans, who's the greatest heavyweight ever?
By far, it's Muhammad Ali.
Ripping punches, Muhammad Ali. The challenger goes down again.
Muhammad Ali.
Who's the heavyweight champion of the world?
Sports Illustrated presents Muhammad Ali, the video. See his pro debut, his fights with Liston, Foreman, Frazier, Spinks, and more. And the video is free with your paid subscription to SI.
Get it and find out who the greatest of all time is.
A short, choosing right to the jaw, and Liston goes down.
The man, he jabbed, body danced.
He float like a butterfly and sting like a bee.
Keep the camera moving because I'm kind of fast.
A sharp right and fully goes down.
It brought back memories, things I'd seen and hadn't seen. All the fights, all the interviews. Muhammad Ali, he took them all on.
Not in this one, Bombino. God's former Joe Frazier.
Naming the round and all that, people thought that was a fluke.
He wanted to go to heaven, so I took him himself.
You don't see boxers like that anymore.
And the Muhammad Ali video is free.
That video's free? Can't be. How can it be free?
It's free when you subscribe to Sports Illustrated. Save over 50% off the cover price.
Oh, I go for it in a heartbeat. It's something to look into.
You'll get 23 issues, including the baseball preview and the swimsuit issue for 3 monthly installments of only $9.89. Or you can pay by credit card, so call now.
One of the greatest magazines that's been around this country since day one.
Kind of like Muhammad Ali, it gives you everything.
Come on, girl. We in Manila.
creates great memories of the greatest champion ever.
To view the legend in the tape was fantastic.
People who never had seen Ali would love this tape.
Yes, I recommend it for anybody.
You can't walk away from this tape without being a Muhammad Ali fan.
Call our toll-free number now and get knockout savings on Sports Illustrated and get the Muhammad Ali video free.
I shook up the world! I shook up the world!
The arena in St. Louis seats 17,188. They have more than that here tonight, we understand, maybe close to 18,000, and most of them are pretty happy because the Blues are ahead at the end of 2 periods by a score of 3-0. Boy, this game sure changed after the first period. Minnesota was such a strong finish to the first, trailed by only 1. You had to think they felt fortunate, but the second period went totally the other way.
You have to respect what the Blues have done here. I mean, Brian Sutter said, call us desperate, anything you want. I like this feeling. He's going to get a chance, it looks like, depending on what happens in the third, to have that feeling again on a Game 6. And I go back to what I said about Vincent Riendeau. I love to see a coach make a decision that goes against the grain, because I guess all of the logic said you got to get Riendeau out of there and get somebody else in there. So far, Riendeau has been solid. He hasn't been tested that much, but with the lifespan of a coaching career of a couple of years, you got to like Brian Sutter right now.
Paul Cavallini blasted home a power play goal at 10:43 of the period from Tuttle and Quinn. That made this a 2-0 game. And then Dan Quinn, the guy we talked about at the top of the show as needing to score, did.
You know, I'm looking at your scorecard here, Mike, as we're watching this play, and it was a super one by Brind'Amour. But you know what I don't see on the scorecard? I don't see Hull. I don't see Oates. So exactly as you just said is happening. What had to happen for St. Louis to have some success here? Other people are helping.
Well, their problem looks solved through 2 periods anyway. We'll see if the third period brings the same result. It's good, doesn't it?
Yeah, we just scored. No, I didn't see Kevin get hit. Kev, you okay?
Here in St. Louis to the north end, where the 2 men who polish the pipes will be at it again here for the third period. Vincent Riendeau has faced 15 shots, only 5 in the second period, and he's stopped them all. And at the other end, the man on the right, John Casey, faced 21 through 2 periods and yielded 3 times. Brian Sutter, you could tell by his fire, even in Minnesota when the score reached 8-2, that there was no way he wasn't going to be battling back with his team tonight. And they have not disappointed the sellout crowd here. Adam Oates will have Brind'Amour and Hull out with him at the start of this third period. There is a power play on with still 1:03 to go for St. Louis. The outstanding minor was the one to Chris Dahlquist for tripping. Basil McRae and Darren Kimball, you'll recall, had coincidentals for unsportsmanlike conduct, but their team's not short in manpower as a result of that. Brind'Amour carries in, looks for Hull, circles the net. That one tipped by Broughton back between the point men and down. So Jeff Brown takes over again. Broughton and Gavin up front for the penalty-killing North Stars, and in back to Norty and Chambers. Puck led ahead by Brown, shakes it on the wing. Paul Cavallini moves in after it, yanked it over for Oates. Crossed and backhanded one, but guarding the front was Chambers, and he leads the rush back out, short-handed. 20 seconds still to kill. Chambers moves in and shoots, and that answered by Riendeau with a stick. And Brind'Amour will peel back out with it for St. Louis. Hands on for Hull. Nice little finesse move back for Brind'Amour. And it's dumped in deep. Casey watching, just shunts it over for Chambers. In 2 seconds, the penalty will be up for Dahlquist. Fortunate flick there by Paul Cavallini as the North Stars were trying to outman. Time up on that minor penalty, so the teams are now back at full strength. Bellows fresh from the bench, able to play this one. Ragging to control, drops it back over for Mark Bureau. Bureau trying to pull to the slot with it. Backhanded one that was snuffed out by Stevens. Got the stick right in the way. The 2 of them go to the corner, and down went Stevens on Bureau's lead. A pass in front for Bellows. Can't get a shot away until Riendeau had cut off the angle and had gone down. He was trying his best to control and stick handle and move at the same time, and Riendeau fought him every inch of the way, and he didn't get much of a shot away at the end.
If you know if Bob Gainey could have designated one player to be in front, trying to fight with the puck to get it on his stick and ultimately slip it into a no-angle situation, Bellows was the guy. He came real close.
Tomlinson grabbed a hold of the stick of Bobby Smith and sat down, and Terry Gregson saw through that one. Modano trying to play it. Wants to nudge it on, but he's outmanned. The puck comes to Giles, then laid across for Neil Wilkinson. Just over 2 minutes gone, third period of our game. If you're just joining us, the North Stars have all 3 shots in the period. They trail 3-0. Quinn's drive flaps loudly off the boards. North Stars wheel back up with it in the person of Bobby Smith. Smith with 5 assists in this series. Tries to get in deep, but that doesn't work as he and Harold Snepps have an exchange. Meanwhile, Butcher lays it up the wing, and here comes Lowry. Fires, and that blocked down calmly by Casey. To the corner, Mike Craig stepped into there by Rich Sutter. Blues try to keep possession, and Sutter has it, but just that quickly loses. And so Craig shuttles it across for Tenorti to carry further. Tenorti then on for Bobby Smith. Blasted by Snepps around the boards. First one there, Craig. Stepped into by Sutter, and he goes down. And Rich Sutter can emerge with a puck for St. Louis. 17 minutes to go in the third. 3-0 the Blues ahead. Sutter fell down. Basson tried to guide it to the corner. Plenty of room and time for Brian Propp to just sky one back to neutral ice. North Stars will take this opportunity to change. Here's Gagne on a misplay by Marois. Gagne with a backhander blocked down by Riendo, and that spiked behind by Basson. Centering pass now for Gavin. Turned one toward the net, but hit the outside of the goal. Gavin barrels into the corner. North Stars coming up with a little fire of their own now here in this third period. Harold Snepps patrolling, hands back up for Gino Cavallini. Shovels it on for Wilson. Wilson controls to Cavallini again. Feeds for Wilson. Hit hard and high by Gavin. Wilson up with it, though. Pivots away from Gavin. Wipes out. Gets back up again. Given a shove by Gavin. Along the boards, Gino Cavallini. Wilson moves to the front. Working it on the outside is Basson. Drops it off for Gino Cavallini. Can't center. Thumped there by Wilkinson. Basson tries to escape. Bob Basson eyed up by Chambers. Drops it off for an overskate by Wilson. Gino Cavallini turned it to the glass. Rocked there by Wilkinson. Right back for Gino Cavallini again, and Wilkinson dueling with him there. 1 minute and 10 seconds have transpired with the puck solidly in the Minnesota end of the ice and possessed mostly by St. Louis. Wilkinson able to throw this one back out on to Shane Churla's stick. Churla just weaving his way through center ice, then just dumps it to the corner. Brown back to play it. On the backhand around the boards. Dahlquist kicked to control. Still battling for control, but Basson able to step away. Along now for Brown. Stepped into by Modano. Pinching was Tenorti, but emerging Basson with a pass on for Dave Tomlinson. He's got Hall up the wing. Pass was behind him, though, and offside, and so the clock stopped. We'll return to the arena in St. Louis in just a moment.
Bob Gainey still trying to keep that element of fear alive inside his guys. He wants them to be afraid of the St. Louis Blues, and tonight they have looked like they're afraid of the Blues at different times.
18,520 watching here. The seating capacity is 17,188, so about 1,400 are standing to watch this. In deep, Bobby Smith. Oates tried to roll it away from him. Tenorti came by. Oates right after him. Got it to Hall. Tried to yank it through his legs, but Smith said no. Oates stepped into by Tenorti again. Adam Oates working the outside, and Tenorti right there to tie him up. Bobby Smith lifts one. Butcher able to cut it off. Garth Butcher wrists one, and that off the glove of Tenorti. He deals it back, and Butcher will chase. Off Butcher, and so Gord Brosiker signals no icing here. Clock ticks down to 14:35 to go in the third period. The Blues seeking to extend this series to a 6th game at the Met Sports Center in Bloomington. 8 o'clock Eastern time 2 nights from now, if that is what takes place. Clock stopped. Take a 30-second break here with the Blues in the lead 3-0.
Been a quiet night for Vincent Riendo, just what the doctor ordered. Short on confidence and long on attacking guys in green over the length of this series. That's what it's been for Vincent Riendo, but not tonight. The Blues have protected Riendo tonight the way they did for most of this hockey season. He had 29 wins and only 9 losses. The next closest to Riendo in the loss department had 13. 4 goalies had 13 losses. Riendo only lost 9.
Came here with Sergio Momesso for Jocelyn Lemieux and Darryl May. Off the face-off, puck tipped back out again. It is Chambers once more on the turning stick of Kurt Giles. Fans with that sing-song Casey chant once more, trying to rattle the Minnesota goaltender, but the Blues have done a good job in forcing him to make some difficult plays and some unsuccessful tonight, just with some close-in shots. Casey has had a good game. It just doesn't show on the scoreboard. And Riendeau, thanks to some solid Blues help in front, has been virtually untested, but solid when called upon, when the North Stars have gotten the puck in deep. Offside call, and again, a neutralized faceoff.
Brian Sutter has said a couple of times in this series, if we give up 3 goals or less, we win games. Well, they had trouble doing that in Minnesota. Gave up 8 the last game, which was game 4, and gave up 5 before that. Tonight they've given up 0. 3-0 Minnesota trails now. And that's been the story. St. Louis controlled from the word go. They got on the board early. In the 4 games before tonight, Minnesota had scored with 1:46 gone. That was game 1. Gagne scored. In game 2, Gavin scored with 26 seconds gone in the game. In game 3, Kurt Giles scored with 3 minutes and 34 seconds gone in the game. And in game 4 in Minnesota 2 nights ago, Bellows scored with 1:12 gone. North Stars haven't scored yet tonight.
Brind'Amour scored at 1:46 of this one, and then the Blues had their weakest stretch of the night in the second 10 minutes of the first period. And you thought, well, maybe Minnesota wasn't bothered by that early St. Louis goal, because they did have quite a string of shots, 7 in a row near the end of the period. But into the second, where the tables were completely turned, and St. Louis outgunned Minnesota 18-5 in shots on goal. Not a lot of heads turning there. That's one of the trademarks that we look for a team that is not discouraged and is involved. You see Gagne having some work done on his left hand. Bellows took a pretty healthy slash earlier, but it hasn't kept him out of the game. He's out right now for this faceoff. You see him lower right of your screen, number 23. Dave Lowry will take the draw opposite Broughton. 5 shots to 1. The North Stars with the advantage in the period. 22-20 the Blues in the game, and they lead 3-0.
Boy, it looks like Bob Gainey's taken a step to get this game going offensively. He's got Bellows out there on the point now, and this is not a man advantage situation. They're playing 5-on-5 hockey, and Bellows is on defense.
Bellows flips. Brian Propp up with it. Propp tried to finesse one in front, but it's cut off by Stevens. Rich Sutter couldn't get it by Bellows, and then it's hand passed, and the glove went flying too from Jeff Brown. Dahlquist turns it back in. Puck stopped behind. Riendeau scoops it off the glass. Rich Sutter locked up there by Broughton. Puck picked up by Brown, but he can't pull away with it, and then it's lodged against the boards, and play is stopped.
Maybe Dave Gagne's hand is worse than we think, because Broughton was out there between Gagne, or at least between Modano and Brian Propp, and that's usually Gagne's line. Now out comes Bobby Smith with Gavin and Mike Craig. Still no Dave Gagne. Yeah, he's getting his hand worked on by the Minnesota athletic trainer, Dave Serpin, on the bench.
Welcome those of you who have been watching on Sports Channel New England to our game here tonight at the arena in St. Louis. 18,520 watching, and the home team hasn't disappointed. 3-0 they have the lead in the game, and if they continue in this way, they'll force a 6th game in Minnesota 2 nights from now. Brind'Amour checked, but controls. Paul Cavallini, a shot, save made by Casey, and Tuttle couldn't collect on the rebound. Craig right back, sent it too far for Gavin. Back deep, Riendeau to get it. Dump back off near Tuttle. Butcher flips one. Dan Quinn able to step ahead. Right now a 2-on-2 as Smith catches up. Brind'Amour a shot, and that challenged well by Casey. Turned back, but not by Paul Cavallini. Able to give it for Brind'Amour, but then it ricocheted back for a lift out by Mike Craig. So Paul Cavallini wheels back to get it. Edmonton and Los Angeles underway at the Forum in Inglewood, California tonight. Edmonton has the lead in that series 3-1. That's the lead that Minnesota has in this series, but it has all the looks of 3-2. 12-10 from now. That will be further known. 3-0 St. Louis. Let's pause for this regional break. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel.
Planning. Where'd I get the capital to start this business with my daughter? By investing for the long haul. And forget full commission brokers. I call Charles Schwab. Munis, mutual funds, blue chips, and I save plenty with Schwab's low commissions. Every day I tell my daughter, think long term. Make your own decisions. Be your own man.
For a free Schwab Fact Kit, call toll-free 800-841-0300.
Off the face-off, Harold Snepps hands back to Marois, and he just flips one over the shoulder of Bellows that's taken by Wilkinson. Clock ticks down to an even 12 minutes to go in the third period here. Blues lead the North Stars 3-0 off McRae. It came to Bellows, and the ruling was that the North Stars were offside, and they're steamed about this call that came from Gord Brosiker.
This is the second call they feel Brosiker has blown. Now, Gord Brosiker called that from the far side of the ice, looking through about 8 sets of legs. To me, it looked like Bellows might have been offside. It was close, but I think Brosiker may have made the right one on this one. But Dave Gagne smashed his stick down onto the ice, angry.
Gord Brosiker in his 16th year of calling the lines from Richmond, Virginia, a one-time minor league baseball player in the Washington Senators chain. When Ted Williams was the manager there, tried baseball for a while, but all along had the interest in hockey and determined he wanted to be an official.
He thought at that time that the salary would end up being a lot better as a linesman in the NHL than being one of those low-paid baseball players.
Well, Basil McRae is having words with Darren Kimball. Basil's stick and his gloves were dropped, but Kimball decided to keep his. We'll see if there's one penalty or two when we come back. In the game, St. Louis leads 3-0. Let's pause for this regional break. You're watching the NHL and the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel.
1-900-896-2333. The Sports Channel America Sports Hotline for all the scores.
In a 3-2 overtime thriller.
For sports news.
Some big free agent signings today.
1-900-896-2333 is all you need. 24 hours a day, every day. Get late-breaking results and news on your favorite sport.
For basketball, press 1 now.
1-900-896-2333. The Sports Channel America Sports Hotline. Call today.
Yeah, and to think somebody has to date this guy. He's got a number 12 on one side of his head and a number 16 on the other.
And a jug of apple juice there.
Yeah.
Made in St. Louis.
Meanwhile, he's loving the fact that Basil McRae has picked up an unsportsmanlike penalty here. 8:07 of the third. He dropped his gloves, wanted to go with Kimball. And a little bit of restraint by Darren Kimball, which led to even more discipline by Darren Kimball. And off went McRae. Kimball's still out there on the bench, at least this time, because the power play's out.
Sixth power play of the game for the Blues. They've connected on one of the previous 5. Tomlinson with a pass across for Brown. Able to punch it by Gavin. Flipped back down by Tenorti. We mentioned Tenorti and Gavin, but also back are Sean Chambers and the man in deep this time, number 7, Neil Broughton. Jeff Brown just taps it along for Tomlinson. Dan Quinn out on the power play, as well as Paul Cavallini. And all the way astray at center ice, waiting for the play to develop, is Steve Tuttle. Brown turns it aside for Quinn. Took a lick from Bureau. Quinn able to weave his way to Paul Cavallini. Gets room and then plays across for Brown. Brown dumping it around. Quinn waits for it there. A minute 10 to go on the power play. Dan Quinn's pass came back to him off Tenorti. Paul Cavallini across now for Brown. Feeds over for Quinn. Fed one in front. Shot by Tuttle. Save. Casey rebound. Score!
Give a lot of credit to Dan Quinn and his unit. He has kept the Blues alive in this series. A pass in front to Tuttle. He got excellent wood on it. It was a perfect pass from Dan Quinn. Casey made a couple of outstanding saves, but finally number 40 of the Blues, Dave Tomlinson, was there to jam it in. Tuttle's first shot was stopped. Tomlinson moved by, slipped it under or beside John Casey. Good playing all around. And Brett Hull and Adam Oates still haven't gotten their names on the score sheet, and it doesn't matter. The Blues lead 4-0.
Basil McRae and Darren Kimball were having words on the resulting faceoff just about the time it was to be conducted. And Terry Gregson went over and warned them, and he's watching both Kimball and McRae right now exchange some sticks. Puck turned to the corner. Dahlquist back to get it. It is 4-0 in favor of the St. Louis Blues. Dahlquist turning away from Wilson's check, then hands over for Kurt Giles. With every goal, the Blues build some more confidence. And this is confidence on the power play as they're 2 for 6 tonight. Dahlquist a pass. Ahead it comes for Gagne. Moves in along with Shane Churla. Churla pumps it to the corner. Tuttle and Quinn, the assists on Tomlinson's third. It came on the power play at 9:07.
This is going to be a test for Darren Kimball. Basil looks like he wants to get something going. There's the goal scorer, Dave Tomlinson. Got 53 of them in the International League during the regular season and was really surprised when he was called up during the Detroit series. He's a hard-working guy, not an end-to-end finesse sort. 53 goals, and not many of them came off the rush. A lot of them just like the one he's just scored on the power play, right on the doorstep.
These two teams both have minor league clubs still in their playoffs. The International League is down to 4 teams. Phoenix at Peoria, and Phoenix won the first game. Peoria is the farm team of St. Louis. Kalamazoo, the farm team of Minnesota, won its first game of a best-of-7 with Fort Wayne. Off the face-off, it is Scott Stevens, along now for Brett Hull. Pivots away from Modano and starts back up ice. Teams are at full strength. 10:05 to go in the third. The Blues in a commanding lead of 4-0. It's Oates, answered by Casey. Craig with a pass across for Bureau. Mark Bureau looks things over, hands to Wilkinson. Wilkinson pivoting, moving right around, and a backhander across the goal mouth wide. Here come the Blues in a 3-on-1. Off the tip of Lowry, it's to Hull. Hull with a shot that went off of Casey and popped into the seats.
Gamble time for the North Stars. Everybody up on the rush all the way to the other end, but when you turn it back over, you got a big problem. The Blues came down in a 3-on-1 situation. Now this is actually the rush before the 3-on-1. When Hull moved it to Dave Lowry, Hull kept going for the net. Watch this beautiful pass by Dave Lowry to Adam Oates. Another good save by Casey, but Lowry waited and waited. Hull decoyed, as he has done in this series. He goes to the net, creates a hole. Here's the 3-on-1. There aren't many guys that have license to try the short side high shot, and Hull was trying to go right up over Casey's shoulder. There was a bit of daylight there, not much, but if anybody could hit it, I guess you'd have to bet even money on Brett Hull.
Well, John Casey will leave the game, and Brian Hayward will come in. The St. Louis fans are cheering and waving goodbye to Casey, but this is not a departure because of his lack of skill. This is just a rest for him to come back again.
And I think even more than that, Mike, it's become kind of a shooting gallery situation. You want to keep John Casey's confidence intact. He's had a wonderful playoff. You let the St. Louis Blues get a couple more on him so that he has to read about a 6-0 shellacking that his team took. I mean, no good things can happen to John Casey or the North Stars with Casey staying in there right now. So they might not happen with Hayward in there, but avoid bad things happening to his confidence, to Casey's confidence.
Good point. Brian Hayward, a Cornell All-American. The Winnipeg system for 4 years and then Montreal's for 4 before coming to the North Stars this year. In the regular season, he had a record of 6-15-3, but the regular season was not something that the North Stars talked a lot about. They're talking more about the playoffs. They have a 3-1 lead in games here. It's headed toward a 3-2 unless something radically changes, as the Blues are in control here, 4-0. Down to the ice went Gagne. Emerging with this is Basson, right in the shadow of the referee Terry Gregson. Gagne trying to knock it away, gets it on to Stu Gavin, and Gavin lays one ahead for Gaetan Duchesne. Butcher takes him along the boards. Sutter comes over, and then Gavin bangs into Sutter. Gavin trying to pull loose out in front. Couldn't stuff it by. It's swept away by Riendo. So he keeps that goose egg up on the board. Basson and Duchesne roughing it up, and then Basson came up with a stick on Duchesne after Duchesne had given him an elbow. And I think Terry Gregson is just going to take Basson.
Well, he missed the elbow then. You're right, Duchesne really connected. But it looks like Bob Basson's the only one going to the box. Too little, too late for the North Stars, though.
Hollywood Pictures presents Michael Keaton as One Good Cop. In the battle for the streets, the line has been drawn. He's fighting a war that America can't afford to lose. One Good Cop, rated R, starts Friday, May 3rd. And from Touchstone Pictures, it's Sylvester Stallone in Oscar.
Sylvester Stallone puts aside his big macho image, and he's funny.
It was a different Stallone than I've ever seen before.
He's much better in comedy than that Rambo stuff.
Oscar, rated PG, now playing. And One Good Cop starts Friday, May 3rd.
Basson a slash at 11:14. As so often happens, the official sees the retaliation and not the initial one. And the initial one hurt.
Sure did. Now, this wasn't even it. I mean, if we keep this rolling, you'll see an elbow from Duchesne before the slash even comes. Right there.
Right on the honker.
Right on the kisser. Kisser, honker, general direction, the general area.
6 power play for Minnesota. We mentioned earlier St. Louis 2 for 6. That's incorrect. It's 2 for 7 that the Blues are tonight. This is number 6 for the North Stars, and they'll have to go back deeper in their own zone to control with 8.5 to go here in the third. We'll advise you the Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings are underway at the Forum in Inglewood, California. And we'll keep you updated on what's happening there. Puck back to Broughton. Across to Tenorti. Shovels one that went to the corner. Behind now it is Bellows trying to center. Butcher said no. To get it and flip it is Prop. Trying to send it in the short side was Bobby Smith. Bellows back to Broughton. Across to Tenorti. Tenorti flipped one that's kicked back out by Dave Lowry. Shift change for the penalty killers. Pivoting with this is Smith. 1:05 to go on the power play. Nice move by Bobby Smith, but in early was Bellows, and so an offside is called.
Boy, the North Stars have had all kinds of trouble with their setup. The Blues have pressured in the neutral zone, and I think the Blues have concentrated on keeping the puck away from Neil Broughton, so the second best puck carrier, Bobby Smith, has tried to bring it up the ice most of the night, but with not very much success.
Crowd here of 18,500 chanting "Let's go Blues," just like they did as the players were introduced tonight. Mentioned how the IHL is going. The American League is in its semifinals. Rochester 1-0 over Binghamton, and Springfield 1-0 over Moncton. And the East Coast Hockey League has been won by the Hampton Roads Admirals. John Brophy, the coach, with his first championship in 30 years of coaching. Puck fed back off for Neil Wilkinson to take. 50 seconds to go on the power play to the Minnesota North Stars. Out of his net to get it, Riendo sweeps it off. It hit a chink in the boards and is brought back out by Oates. Just lays it back down. Mike Modano, who had 2 goals in Game 4, but along with his teammates is without anything tonight, tried to go coast to coast, and that didn't pan out. 20 seconds still for St. Louis to kill here. Chambers gave it up to Oates. Oates with a spinorama move, trying to get out of way of all the hits, and finally got buried by Gagne. Bringing it back up is Craig. Oh, Chambers, and then Chambers was slashed on a 2-hander by Oates. Oates initially took some lumber from Chambers and then retaliated with a 2-hand slash on Chambers that looked ugly. Both men will be penalized. We'll return to the arena in St. Louis. Slashing minor at 14:46. We'll get a chance to see it once more. Gosh, if Bob Basson would have pulled this off, that would have been one for every videotape highlight produced in North America. From his knees, but answered by Hayward. Brian Hayward has been a part of a lot of Stanley Cup play 3 times he shared the Jennings Trophy for the best average in the league with Patrick Waugh when he was at Montreal. Bureau with a shot that went harmlessly to the glass, but Bureau right after it, stepped into by Brindamore, trying to play from a prone position, and the Blues seeking to outman finally are able to do it. 4:50 to go in the third and 1:35 remaining on the minor to Bobby Smith. Power play 8 for the St. Louis Blues. They're 2 for the prior 7. Paul Cavallini handed it back to Quinn. Might as well have him out there. He's been the hot man tonight. Dan Quinn with a goal and 3 assists. And entering tonight's game, Quinn had only 2 assists in the previous 4 games. Another penalty coming up, and this one will be against St. Louis. Back up on the delayed call is Broughton, handing to Dahlquist, then over to Duchesne. Back to Dahlquist, drives one, and that one went off a blue, but is played by Duchesne. Gaetan Duchesne wrapped up by Jeff Brown. Puck worked by Wilkinson, given a shove. The net vacated for an extra attacker. Now we get a stoppage of play as wrestling around Duchesne and Jeff Brown.
I think the penalty is going to be against Dan Quinn for a slash way at the other end.
Terry Gregson blew the whistle because he was going to take players from both teams off, but Quinn will have the additional one. That'll take care of the remainder of the power play time, at least in effect on the ice, to Bobby Smith.
There's the chop by Dan Quinn. You saw it coming from the right of your screen on Mark Tenorti.
More from Inglewood and Bob Papa.
Here come the Kings again. Luc Robitaille. Robitaille skates into the Edmonton zone, sends it to Steve Duchesne. Now Duchesne's on his stomach. He gets a stick on it. Robitaille will pick up the puck and beat Grand Fuhr on the short side. The Kings with a 2-1 lead in the first period.
Well, it's something how a game can apparently turn on a shorthanded goal like Casper scored just a moment ago. Now the Kings seem like they're off to the races, and this has been a hard series for them. But they're up 2-1 as you see the North Stars at their bench. Quinn a slash, Duchesne a rough, and Brown a rough. Those are the penalty calls at 15:52. 31 shots St. Louis, 23 for Minnesota, 10-8 the Blues in this third period. The face-off, puck yanked along for a little tip by Hall, read by Modano. Now goes back to get some control. Still 45 seconds from now before the North Stars power play will begin, and Modano skates down some of that time. They nearly lulled the Blues hypnotically into their weave and sprung someone, but Scott Stevens now dumps it back out, and Hull is on. Bellows watching him. Hull went down, hoping to buy a penalty since he didn't have the puck, but that didn't quite pan out. Bellows tries to work it along, then bear hugs Brindamore. Paul Cavallini up with it, trying to get through traffic. Nothing there. In 15 seconds, Smith will be out. North Stars change, bringing out Gagne and Craig, as it's Garth Butcher just tapping it gently back into the Minnesota zone. Hayward to set it up there for Bellows. Out of the box now comes Bobby Smith, and the power play begins for Minnesota. This is their 7th of the game. 3:10 to go in the third, a minute to go on this power play. 4-1 St. Louis ahead. Riendo lifts it off. Bobby Smith controlling there. Smith to the point now for Bellows. Bellows across. Controlled by Gagne. Bellows once again. Then he hands over for Smith, coming to the bench. Hayward for an extra attacker. Now they go with 6 attackers while on the power play. Smith across. Got it to Chambers. Deals it in for Modano. 2:45 to go. Back to Chambers. Over for Modano. Big shot, and that one smothered and held by Scott Stevens.
Well, Bob Gainey has tried just about everything he could try to generate some offense, and it has not worked here tonight. He had Brian Bellows on defense a little earlier in the third period. And with the extra attacker, Mike Modano could have just lifted his head and gotten it in front, but he put his head down and blasted it. Scott Stevens ate it up with a nice block. Pretty effective play, too, and you can sneak that guy into the play. Bob Gainey pulled Hayward off, and I'm not sure that the Blues really, that were on the ice, realized that they were facing a team that had an extra attacker.
33 seconds of power play time to go. 2:41 left in the third. So it appears there will be at least a game 6 in this series. Blues have been staring at eliminations 3 times in the series against Detroit and won that series. So this is the 4th time in the month of April that they have looked at ending their season. But it appears to be the 4th time that they have said no. Basson in on this face-off with Smith. Off the tie-up, kicked by Smith, punched back out by Basson. The net is empty. This goes harmlessly wide of it. Bellows goes back to take. Bellows bumped by Basson, able to shake it free, but right to Bobby Smith. Steers it ahead in stride Broughton, laying it across for Gagne. Dave Gagne flips. Modano, a shot, he scores! Modano with 2:21 to go in the third. The Blues have gotten another power play goal, and they're back to within 2.
What a shot by Mike Modano. The North Stars sure hit the blue line with speed on this rush. Dave Gagne with tons of it. Now when you hit the line with that much speed, you force the D-men to really kind of back in. They can't stand up. Gagne with a nice little flip pass to Mike Modano. And we saw a look at his slap shot 2 nights ago in Minnesota early in the first period. Watch this wrister. Zing. Before Riendo could even react, it was coming out of the net. 4-2. 2:21 to go.
Gagne and Broughton wind up with the assists on Modano's 4th of the playoffs and his 1st on the power play at 17:39. So can Mike Modano's team do it? The North Stars need 2 to force overtime with 2:21 to go here in the third. Hayward is back in for the ensuing faceoff, and we'll again keep an eye on him. He'll probably watch how play develops and whether the Blues control and are able to start with it. Stays in the crease now as the Blues have it. Paul Cavallini tries to lift in, able to do it. Hayward just bunts it loose for the turning Mark Tinordi. Tinordi starts to move it ahead, handing it across for Wilkinson. Here comes Hayward out to the hash marks, but the Blues get it back, so he'll coast back in. And again, watch a puck come near him. Wilkinson pivots with 2 minutes to go now. This one pinballed right back, and again, Hayward has to make the play, turning it over for Tinordi. 4-2 the score. St. Louis ahead. Paul Cavallini kept that one and just paddled it back in deep. Tinordi once again trying to pull away from Oates. Oates knocked it loose. Bobby Smith up with it. Forces it back to Tinordi. So this is about 35 to 40 seconds that the North Stars have been playing back in their own end. Here is Smith bringing it on and headed to the bench. Hayward for an extra attacker. Puck forced toward the corner. Paul Cavallini pivots with it behind the goal. Dumps it off, but Brian Propp rushes in to knock it loose toward the corner. Modano can't come up with it. It's poked back near Chambers. Good keep by him, but it's flipped into the glove of Paul Cavallini. Starts it out for Lowry. Lowry has a man ahead, and it's Hall. And the puck forced all the way back down. And touched for an icing by Chambers. So Lowry just hooked off as he was trying to pass, sent one all the way from the defensive side of the red line over the end line wide of the empty cage. And a faceoff will come back near Vincent Riendo, who is protesting to the referee Terry Gregson why there was no icing there. Power play had ended with the scoring of the goal. So that is permitted. Gord Brosiker will drop it in the circle to the left of Riendo with 1:08 to go here in the third period. And the Blues in the lead by a count of 4-2. Again, it'll be 6 attackers against a goalie and 5 for St. Louis. Bobby Smith and Chambers and Propp will be up front. From right to left, setting up for this faceoff. At the boards will be Broughton, and the point men will be Bellows and Modano. Ron Wilson to take the draw with Smith. Gord Brosiker has them almost set. Prematurely coming across was Wilson, so they'll try it again. This time Wilson's chased, and Smith will wait for another centerman. It's Bob Basson this time. Wilson has a word for Basson, and now Gord Brosiker talking to Bobby Smith. Visitors stick down first, then the home, and the home team wins the draw. Marois sends it back off, all the way down it'll go. Again, we'll have an icing. Bellows touches. 59 seconds to go in the third period. Brian Sutter getting his troops set. Gives a little shove to Wilson to have him come back out again. So the Blues fans came tonight with questions in their minds, and the team that they've supported all year long, to a 2,000 increase per game in average attendance in the regular season, and to an average of about 17,800 in the playoffs, have responded well. 4-2, Minnesota has to get 2 to force sudden death overtime, and they'll have to act quickly. They have 59 seconds. It's one back to Gagne. Fires a shot, and that one hit off Smith. Wedged back out by Rich Sutter. Modano goes back to play it. Gagne peels off to take the pass. Gagne with a pass ahead for Bobby Smith. Lost control, but hacked it back deep into the Blues' end. Riendo just taps it behind. Garth Butcher lays it off the boards. It's picked up, though, and sent for Smith, and a shot right on goal. Another one by Modano that went wide. Rolled back off by Stevens. Waiting is Mike Modano again. Dumps it back over for Gagne. Dives and pokes it away from Stevens. It's hacked to the front. Chambers trying to get it loose. Still the puck loose. Backhanded by Prop. Knocked loose by Riendo. Rebound went wide. Poke to the corner. 20 seconds to go. Prop there. Stepped into by Basson, and the two of them go down to the ice heavily. We get a stoppage of play, and Bobby Smith really hit from behind by Butcher. Now Bobby Smith pawing in the direction of Garth Butcher for the late lick. Meanwhile, Prop just now getting up from the corner where he had gone into the boards. And so some bitterness here on the part of the two teams, as part of the message for the next game that will take place at the Met Sports Center 2 nights from now. Smith is off, and Prop leaves the ice too. Basson is leaving, and Butcher will follow him. Time was dwindling down to the last 20 seconds, and the North Stars had to get 2, so it was a slim hope at best when Prop went into the corner and couldn't handle. Basson put the good solid shoulder into him, and the 2 went down. Prop ripped off the helmet and came back at Basson, who said, yeah, and I'll come right back at you for some more, and was throwing some rights. What had happened between Butcher and Bobby Smith had happened out of our camera range before. And that was why Butcher and Smith were both looking for each other after the initial skirmish involving Brian Prop and Bob Basson. Well, some penalties will be coming up, and they'll be at 19:46 elapsed time in this third period. Blues with the lead in this by a count of 4-2. And the fans who had those questions have them answered so much for tonight, and are hoping to come back here and see another game on Tuesday. That would be the second successive 7th game series that St. Louis has had. Oates and Stu Gavin are having the penalties explained to them by the referee Terry Gregson. We'll pick up the penalty calls in a moment. The officials,
Bobby Smith, 2 minutes for roughing.
Okay, I guess we'll hear them now.
St. Louis, number 28, Bob Basson, a double minor for roughing. And number 5, Garth Butcher, 2 minutes for roughing. Number 18, Ron Wilson.
All right, the penalties being announced here. More happening at the Forum in Inglewood, California. Here's Bob Papa.
All right, the Kings will get another one on a 2-man advantage at 19:03 of period number 1. Brian Benning is stopped by Grant Fuhr, but Luc Robitaille gets his 2nd of the game, 10th of the playoffs, 3-1 Kings at the end of 1 period.
So the Kings with a great start tonight against the Edmonton Oilers, placing in question the elimination Edmonton was hoping for in that series, just as This question has been answered for the night in terms of Minnesota taking care of the St. Louis Blues. For the final 14, look out. Basil McRae and Shane Churla will be out for the Minnesota North Stars, with Mark Bureau in between. Wilkinson and Dahlquist will be in back. Churla having some words with Brind'Amour already, and Sutter comes over. And the officials come over too, and locked up Basil McRae along with Scott Stevens. And the officials trying to paw them apart. Another part of the message for the next game. Basil McRae is a very workmanlike guy when it comes to this. The game of intimidation in sports, and particularly in hockey, can be either subtle or not. And Basil McRae is a master of both. The subtlety comes from all the conversation, and you've seen this a lot in this series. And the rest comes from major penalties for fighting. Shane Churla is off. McRae is off. Probably a couple of the Blues will be leaving too, and all this with 14 seconds to go. Scott Stevens is left. We're just doing some figuring back over 4 years of regular season and playoff competition. Only one other player has had more fighting majors than McRae. He's had 98, if you count 4 years back, including this one in playoffs and regular season. Jay Miller with the Los Angeles Kings, who are also in action tonight, as you know, and Miller perhaps in uniform for that game, has 112. And these are both guys that are in their 30s. A lot of guys lose a taste for this by the time they're in their mid-20s, but Basil McRae is still known as a great team guy, just as Scott Stevens is. And a force around who other players who are less skilled at the things he does can rally. The last 4 seconds counted down. Didn't matter. This one's going 6. In the first period, Brind'Amour early from Brown and Quinn at 1:46. Second period, Paul Cavallini on the power play from Tuttle and Quinn at 10:43. Quinn is fourth from Brind'Amour and Tuttle at 18:04. In the third at 9:07, Tomlinson on the power play from Tuttle and Quinn. Then Propp and Modano with power play goals. Propp's at 14:04, his sixth in the playoffs on the power play from Broughton and Wilkinson. Modano his fourth, first on the power play from Gagne and Broughton at 17:39. Shots in the third, Minnesota 11, St. Louis 10. And in the game, the Blues 31, the North Stars 26. Our final score, 4-2 St. Louis. Stay with us. Let's pause for this regional break. You're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs on Sports Channel.
Stop. How about personally? You've let's face it, you've struggled to score goals, and it shows, I think, to people that watch and watch closely, and all players that struggle to score goals end up fighting the puck. But tonight, to me, it looked like when you scored, a lot of confidence came back into your hands.
Well, I mean, it's been a struggle, like you say, and I don't know what the reason is for it, but getting one early, especially the first shift, it kind of does relax you a little bit, and to go the rest of the game.
Let's take a look at it. Maybe you can tell us about it. It was a nice setup from Dan Quinn. You had good speed going wide once Brown gave it to Quinn, then over to you.
Well, Brownie moved up nice, and I just saw there was no winger back on the far side, and I knew I had a little speed going. Quinn just laid her out, and I got by the defenseman and looked up, and I was in, and just put her far side, I think, and kind of got lucky underneath his blocker, but it went in, and I'll take it.
This is when you're supposed to sit here and say, see, that's the only place it would have gone, right under the right arm. Tell us about the preparation in the locker room. I mean, Brian Sutter, we all know Brian Sutter, and we know that he won't quit. Are his talks before games such as this any different than they are at any other time of the season?
Well, not really. I mean, we know what we have to do. It's pretty simple. And, you know, Brian obviously wants his players to work hard for 60 minutes. And, you know, almost if you do that, we're going to be successful. And I think we got away from that a little bit in the last couple of games up in Minnesota, and it showed. And, you know, we play our style and work hard as a team. You know, we're a pretty good team.
But then basically, technically, Brian didn't do anything differently for this hockey game. Just listen, the same things that got us to where we are.
That's exactly what he said. I mean, you know, there was no fluke why we were the, you know, second best team in the NHL this year. And we stick to those things, the basics. You know, you're going to be successful.
Okay, Rod Brind'Amour was not only a goal scorer tonight, he was an assister as well, and he set up a beautiful goal by Dan Quinn. You went down and it looked like you bounced off Kurt Giles at one point and then regrouped to make the pass on this one.
Well, I kind of lost it right here, and I was almost upset with myself, and I just slammed on the brakes, and, you know, Quinner just came up, you know, late in the play, and I don't think the forward picked him up, and, I mean, he just tapped it in. It was nice to see those go in.
Was it my imagination, or did you notice that you ended up with more ice time the more you guys contributed? And you started very early with your goal, and it looked to me every time I looked up, you were back out there as much, if not more, as Adam and Brett.
Well, I mean, that's nice. And when you get a goal right off the bat, I think Brian kind of knows that we're into the game, and he's going to put you out there. I mean, that's the bottom line, is getting out there on the ice and contributing, and that's what you want to do, and hopefully we can keep it going.
How about the lead in this series? We have charted the minutes, and over the last 7 games for the North Stars, going back into their series with Chicago, they have scored first in virtually every game. Tonight you were able to get the first goal. Is there a difference when you score first?
Well, I think you're right. I mean, that was one of the things we brought up, as a matter of fact, before the game, that they hadn't been behind, and let's see how they play when they get behind. It's a lot harder to come from behind, and when you get the lead, you can do a little more things defensively to stop them, and that's what happened tonight. And you know, I mean, it is important to get the first goal.
Rod, congratulations, man. We'll see you in Minnesota in a couple of nights.
Thank you very much, Bill.
Rod Brind'Amour of the St. Louis Blues. His guys win. They force a 6th game. We'll be there in Minneapolis 2 nights.
Window pulled from Game 4. A surprise starter in Game 5. But he stopped 24 of 26 and authored a victory for his team tonight by a score of 4-2. So Game 6 will be coming up, and we'll be at the Met Sports Center in Bloomington, Minnesota. Join us, won't you? 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Game 6, the Blues and North Stars on Sports Channel. Good night from St. Louis.
Anatoly Semenov with a goal for the Edmonton Oilers, but then the Kings come back with 3 unanswered goals. Steve Kasper, a shorthanded goal, and a pair of goals by Luc Robitaille. The Los Angeles